Tomorrow is the anniversary of when the first atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, instantly killing some 70,000 people. Tens of thousands more would die in the coming months from radiation sickness, burns and dehydration. 80 years on, questions surrounding the use of nuclear weapons still loom. Late last night, Russia announced it had abandoned the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces INF Treaty, which prevented its deployment of short and intermediate range nuclear missiles amid simmering tensions with the United States and Donald Trump. Mr. Trump already abandoned the same treaty in 2019. But what does this mean for the future use of nuclear weapons? Delighted to say I'm joined now by Dane Waters, a political strategist who's worked on 6 US presidential campaigns, a global affairs analyst who lived in Ukraine and advises on the Russian-Ukrainian war. Hi, Dane. It's great to have you with me. Were you surprised at this overnight news?
Well, first, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here with you, Tim.
Always
great to see you. No, I wasn't surprised. I mean, Putin has never lived up to any agreement of any kind globally, so it's not a surprise. And he's used the nuclear deterrent. That's he likes to beat his chest every time he's concerned about something. He uses it. So I'm not surprised by it, and I think we're going to see more of him touting his nuclear weapons here in the next few weeks.
Well, of course, this comes in the sort of immediate aftermath. I think it was on Friday that, in response to remarks by Dmitry Medvedev, the former Russian president, Mr. Trump talked about moving America's nuclear subs closer to Russia's backyard. Do you see this as an immediate response to that? And do you worry about this sort of escalating stance by both of these major countries, or is this just is a jaw rather than anything more?
Listen, the only reason that the Ukrainian war continues is because Putin has nuclear weapons. You know, if you look at globally, where you have what's happening in the Middle East, what the Israelis are doing, attacking Gaza, Syria, Lebanon, you look at what, the United States, dropping bombs on Iran, you look at our attacks in Yemen. I mean, everywhere where our country doesn't have nuclear weapons, the globe is very responsive in trying to stop what's happening. But Putin recognizes that. I mean, nuclear weapons are a deterrent. The problem is that when a bad guy has nuclear weapons and uses it as a deterrent, the good guys can't do anything about it. So I do think that what's happening is a direct response by the Russians to what Trump is saying. Medvedev always, I mean, he's kind of the lapdog for Putin. He comes out and says whatever, Putin wants him to say. And I think that this rhetoric is what concerns, which is why Europe hasn't done more in Ukraine, in my opinion, why the UK hasn't done more, which is why the US hasn't done more, is because they're all worried about triggering a nuclear response from Russia.
Would you, if I put you in the White House, Dave, gave you the power to determine Western foreign policy, are you saying you would escalate our sort of support for Ukraine and effectively call the Kremlin's bluff?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, it's
a dangerous game to play.
Well, it is. But if you look at what's happening now, we could always go back and say, hey, what the rhetoric that we're seeing now is very similar to prior to World War II. I'm one of the guys who believes that we're heading to a global conflict at some point in time. I believe it's going to be nasty. It's going to be ugly. People are going to die. But
tell me what you mean by a global conflict.
Well, I think that if you look at, you have what I call the good versus evil. I mean, as simplistic as it sounds. You look at Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, and their little satellite countries. They're all working seamlessly together. They really are. The good guys aren't. I mean, I define the good guys as the United States, the UK, European Union, and Australia and some of these other countries. We are not working together. Okay, so we are being divided. And what you see Russia doing and what you see China doing and what you see Iran doing and what you see North Korea doing, they're trying to divide us while they're united. And I think that eventually the world's going to have to make a decision. Countries like Starmer and Trump are going to have to make a decision. Are we going to allow, this authoritarian world to exist? Or are we going to stop it? And I think eventually, I hope we all decide that we have to stop it. Because do you want to live under Chinese rule? Do you want to live under Russian rule? Do you want to live under Iranian rule, North Korean rule? No. I mean, it's not good for democracy and freedom, and I think we have to stand up.
And when you say sort of the free world, the Western world, however you want to define it, is sort of not adequately united, perhaps it's almost a silly question, but who do you mainly blame for that? Is it sort of Trump's America First ideology? Is it Europe's really continuing failure to spend enough money on its own defence? Or is it all these things and other things combined?
Well, I think, listen, I would put it in Trump's lap, first and foremost. Spending more money on your military capability, I agree that needs to happen. But that's not dividing the world. I mean, what you have is that when you have, not once has Donald Trump stood up and said, it's important to fight for freedom and democracy and stop authoritarian regimes. Not once. It's all about fiscal policy, making America great economically, which I as an American, I support. But if you don't have if the U.S. president talking about the importance of protecting freedom, the importance of protecting those who are unable to protect themselves, then that is what leads to division around the world. I mean, every country, I think, Macron has responsibility, Starmer has responsibility, the EU has responsibility. I think there's a lot of individuals who are responsible for this division, but there's no one united. And if America is not uniting the world on foreign policy, fighting the bad guys, it's going to be difficult for the good guys to win. So
ultimately, the so-called self-styled often leader of the free world, it's up to him. But you've been quite a critic of Mr. Trump, Dane, and perhaps we should have you back on another day to talk more about that. But just for the moment, do you think Trump, though, is on a journey on Ukraine and it seems to be going in the right direction? I was very worried about his position earlier in the year when he seemed to really be criticising Ukraine more than Russia. But he seems to be being educated, not least by Melania, his wife, when he goes back home and she tells him what Russia's doing. Are you a little bit more optimistic about where Trump may be going on the Ukraine war now?
Well, any change in his demeanor and his attitude and his comments are something to be optimistic about. So yes, I am. But I think it's going to be, it's easy. It's not easy. He's talking about, listen, we're now going to sell weapons to NATO, and NATO then can give it to Ukraine. Okay, well, that's just a business deal, and that's understandable. And then today or yesterday, he comes out and talks about trying to punish India for buying Russian oil. There's no strategic. So let me just say, I'm happy about the change. I think there needs to be a strategy and a policy behind it. And it's like, once again, it's just like little pieces here and there about what's happening. But without the U.S. support and U.S. guidance and commitment to Ukraine, it's going to be very difficult for other countries to follow.
Dane, you are one of the bravest people I know on political matters, particularly the course of the free world. And I'm really grateful for your time today. That was Dane Waters, a senior political strategist and someone who's lived in Ukraine and very close to American foreign policy and its future.